Welcome back to Englebrook Independent News. I'm your host, Ryan, and we have some interesting developments with the war in Gaza. So, the Trump administration has put forward a 20-point plan as like a roadmap to peace. Uh, the Israelis at first did not want to accept it, but Trump called up Bibi and was cursing at him over the phone, and Bibi reluctantly agreed. By Bibi, I mean Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. Now, they have agreed to negotiate. So Hamas also has agreed to negotiate some of the terms of the deal. There are certain aspects of it that they are not very much in favor of. For example, Hamas does not want to completely disarm and have no say in the next government of Gaza, which was one of the key points of the plan. And quite frankly, uh, that's probably gonna be the most difficult point for them to negotiate over. Second, Israel wants to keep a permanent military occupation force in there, which Hamas has said they will not accept. They want a full Israeli withdrawal. They are, however, prepared to hand over the hostages and the bodies of the hostages who have died while in captivity, which is a major step. This would also be in exchange for many of the Palestinians who have been detained since the war began. So it would be a bit of a prisoner swap for the hostages, which is a huge step for anybody. It would also result in a ceasefire, so there would be no more fighting. Now, President Trump has told Benjamin Netanyahu to stop all attacks in Gaza while the negotiations are ongoing. That hasn't exactly happened, but they have slowed down. So that's something that we might be able to see in the next few days is a complete cessation of hostilities, at least while the negotiations are ongoing. Um, it does seem that the Trump administration has gotten to the point now where they've lost patience with Benjamin Netanyahu, and their point of view is essentially that there are no more military goals to achieve, so the war's over. Now it's time to figure out what this is all going to look like going forward. And it's hard to tell, where the support lies for this because of obviously, the most of the media sensationalizes it, and they're going to always go and quote the hardliners, when they're never going to quote the moderates, which is probably the majority of the population. Now, there are some polls coming out of Israel that are a bit telling, and it does seem that most Israelis do still have an appetite for continuation of the war. But then again, it begs the question, well, and what is the objective that you're trying to achieve, which would mark the end? It's a little bit nebulous, it hasn't been clearly defined. Complete and utter destruction of Hamas. Okay, and what does that exactly look like? In any case, this is a major breakthrough in at least getting to another ceasefire for now and negotiations on a peace deal going forward. I expect this to be a long, drawn out process. I expect there to be many nations involved. Obviously, Tony Blair, for some reason, has resurfaced in England and has decided that he wants to be a part of this. Of course, Egypt is playing a part right now as they are hosting some of the talks. Qatar has also agreed to host more talks as well. The United States, of course, is going to be involved in every step of the way because we're Israel's biggest supporter, and anything that's decided is not really going to be worthwhile unless we're involved in that as well. And so this is going to be a long process. I do have a feeling, though, that it is going to go through because at this point, what do you like? What is there left to do on the battlefield? Hamas can't win this. They know it. They've been shattered. They've been smashed, and Israel has really nothing left to do except raise all the remaining buildings in Gaza City. So I think that this is probably it's going to be a difficult, bumpy road, but I think this is going to be the road to peace. Is it going to be a lasting peace? Probably not. The Israelis and Palestinians go at each other all the time. But at least it will end this war and start the reconstruction of Gaza, hopefully, as well as get in the humanitarian aid that is very much needed for all the Palestinians. So we will keep you updated if there's any breakthroughs or if there's any progress. What both sides are saying publicly, and then what they're saying, or I should say, what they're saying to their international media outlets, and then what they're saying to their own. It's a little bit harder with Hamas because they don't do as much of that kind of reporting that's easily accessible to somebody outside of their circles, but we'll do what we can. In any case, thanks for stopping by, and as always, don't forget to subscribe.